Good morning world from an extremely windy Philippines today. I want to talk about why we are still living here in the Philippines as a British family that decided to just carry on after the pandemic and continue living here despite what people think. I think there's a lot of opinion out there about what it's like to live abroad and stay living abroad for many years. Depending on where you're from, those thoughts change a lot. For example, most people from the West, from Britain, from America, will think, well, the main reason why they're still living in the Philippines after all these years must be because it's cheap. Honestly, it's not that cheap living in the Philippines, depending on where you are. Of course, it depends on which island you choose to be on, but where we are here in Siargao, in the northeast part of Mindanao, this place is definitely not cheap. Land is expensive, very expensive, like what you would pay in the West. Electricity isn't cheap. Even food and groceries aren't cheap. So really, it's a bit of a misconception, the whole cost of living thing. Now don't get me wrong, it is very much possible to have a cheaper lifestyle here if you change the way you do things. But I don't think it's possible to say that living in the Philippines, where we are in Siargao, is a cheap place. So that's not the reason why we're still here. Of course, look at the scenery, look at the landscape. It's pretty clear that I'm in a tropical paradise right now. Beautiful blue skies, palm trees, the ocean is roaring over there. Absolutely beautiful day today. It looks like that picture postcard perfect location. And of course, it's an obvious reason why we would choose to stay in a place like this. Before I carry on, let's talk about some of the downsides of living here. So last night, around about 6:45 p.m, there was an island-wide power cut. Now this island doesn't have its own power station. All of the power comes from off island and it's kind of wired in from, I don't know, hundreds of kilometers away. Something along that line broke and all night the power company has been trying to fix it. The entire island and the next island along has been without power, complete blackout since 6 o'clock in the evening last night. It is now 9 o'clock in the morning the next day, and that can be extremely uncomfortable for everybody living here. And it's a frequent thing. Power cuts happen all the time in the Philippines Islands. They're just kind of a part of life. And if you can't find a way to deal with it, then it's going to be a constant thorn in your side. Of course, we dealt with that by buying our own solar power system, which runs our entire house perfectly. So we can go completely off grid. We can live off of the sunshine of the Philippines. And even in the evenings when there's no sun, we can use stored power in a massive battery. And it allows us to have a comfort zone that other people here on the island perhaps don't have access to. And that improves our life personally by a huge degree. And that is a personal choice you can make. The solar system that we bought for our house was the equivalent of buying a 5-year-old car in the Philippines. So if having electricity, a permanent supply, is more important to you than having a nice car, then you can make that choice here. And we did that. We still have air conditioning running. We managed to have a comfortable night, all sleeping with the fans on. We did all move into the same room last night, and our daughter had a bit of a late night because she was a bit concerned about the power cut going on and off. So we bundled into one place with one fan on. But it's just one of the quirks of living on a Philippines island. She's still asleep now because she's exhausted. But now that the sunshine is back, we've got everything we need to have a good life here. So that's one problem we've managed to overcome living in the Philippines. But it can certainly make your life uncomfortable if you decided to make this your permanent home. You do not have the efficiency and the infrastructure that we're used to in the West, where I'm from. The next obvious reason why people choose to live in the Philippines that aren't Filipino is, of course, the Filipinos. This is a well-known fact that Filipinos are some of the most friendly and welcoming people on the planet. And we've talked about this many times. Pretty much every vlogger, every Westerner that chooses to spend an extended amount of time here will tell you how wonderful it feels to be surrounded by Filipino people who welcome you with open arms. They make it easy for you to stay here long term with different visa options and different investment options. So there's plenty of ways you can extend your life here in the Philippines without too much hassle. Whether you decide to be a tourist that stays for a very long time, or you decide to buy some land or invest in a condo or marry a Filipino. You can do all of these things and stay here for a very long time. And we feel that of all the places we've lived in the world, it's one of the easiest places to stay for a long time, not being Filipino ourselves. And I mentioned briefly that it's going to get easier as well for people like us because they're introducing new digital nomad visas here in the Philippines. There are permanent residency visas you can buy. There are options out there for every budget. But I still haven't specifically told you why we personally have decided to stay here in the Philippines. The main reason why we want to live here, despite all those other things that I just mentioned. So to answer the question, the reason why we decided to live here long term, I think it's the simplest and most powerful of answers, and that is freedom. We feel like we get so much more freedom living here. Now, what do I mean by that? So there's lots of answers to this, and it starts with a personal thing. Let's say, for example, where we live here on Siargao Island. It's the surfing capital of the Philippines. I've got long hair. I've woken up in the morning, I've thrown on any clothes, and I'm just out on a public beach enjoying my life without worrying about how I look. Now, that sounds a bit funny, but where we're from in the UK, I would not go out of the house without looking in a mirror. I would make sure that certain things were done to my face, my hair, everything before I was seen by anybody. But here, I don't feel like we get judged at all. My wife, Sacha, she never wears makeup and she's beautiful, and she never feels judged or like out of place being outside in public, in a fancy restaurant, anywhere here on this island without having to put on makeup. Whereas when we go to the UK, we change that. Everything feels different. You look around you, everybody's masked up. Everybody is feeling they need to have a certain type of dress, or it's like an armor in a way. Clothing for men and women, type of bag you wear, type of shoes you got on. People are looking at it going, you know, how you can't come out of the house dressed like that. We don't have that here. That is a level of freedom that you forget about until you go and come back here. I could talk about that forever, but let's move on to a second point, which is the freedom to spend time with our child. Now, we made the choice to homeschool our daughter, Story, and she's now 7 years old, and we have a plethora of things that we use to teach her and educate her every day, and she's thriving that way, and we're allowed to do that here. We have this choice to make. How much time do you want to spend with your kids? How much do you want to be their teacher versus someone else? A school or an entire system of things can be her teacher, but we get the privilege to be able to actually raise our daughter here without someone coming along and saying you can't do that because you don't have a university degree or some other standardized Western practice that would take our child away from us, which I think is one of the ultimate freedoms of being here in the Philippines. The cost of living. Now, I did say earlier that the Philippines isn't cheap, but if you are here for long enough, you can find rental properties that are way cheaper for the standard that you would get in the West. For example, we live by an almost private beach. It's not private, this is a public place, but every day we can come down here and experience this. We can look out of our window and see palm trees in the ocean, and we pay less than we would for a studio flat in a bad part of London for all that privilege, a 2-bedroom house by the coast. You'd never get that in our birth country for that money. And you have the freedom to choose, especially on Siargao, whether you want to live a more elevated lifestyle or a cheaper lifestyle. There are parts of the island that look like anywhere in the Philippines. People are living on a much lower budget, but then you can go into a different part of town and go to a super high-end, almost Michelin star rated restaurant. And you can go there dressed like this and nobody would judge you. Freedom. And that lower cost of living that we've managed to find by living here for a long time is also supplemented by the fact that we're remote workers. So we can earn our money from America and spend it here. So we can choose the hours that we decide to work. If we decide that we want to take a weekend off or we want to take a weekday off, it's completely up to us. And again, that supplements that feeling of freedom that we have here, that we wouldn't have if our cost of living was so much higher in the countries that we come from. And even small things like being able to park your car anywhere without somebody tracking you on CCTV or having some kind of like penalty notice for driving over a red line. That kind of big brother is always watching you culture doesn't exist here on this island, and that is another thing that's contributed to the reasons why we've decided to stay here long term. Now I should say that this explanation I'm giving you is very specific to us and our situation. We've spent many years building up to this lifestyle. We were already on social media doing content creation and remote work since 2012. So it's been over a decade of fine-tuning to get to this stage. I don't think that coming to the Philippines will solve all of your problems. In fact, it does introduce a lot of new problems that you have to become aware of. But if you can figure those out bit by bit, find a way to build the perfect lifestyle around you, you can have the same kind of freedom that we have here. You'll know why we decided to stay. Look who's awake.
Yay.
Did you enjoy your sleep?
Yep.
Did you sleep late today?
Very late.
Too late.
I couldn't sleep because there was a giant power cut. So I was in bed trying to read a book to make me sleepy, and then this random power cut just went, hey, no more reading.
Yeah, we were on battery power all night, weren't we?
So I couldn't read the book. So I was awake the whole time we were trying to fix it, and I was talking to Daddy a bit about my games.
Yeah, that's true.
About some games.
Yeah.
And then when you decided what we should do tonight, we went in here. So we had to sleep inside here.
Yeah, we all slept in the same room under the same fan, didn't we?
Yeah,
So we could save battery power.
Oh, hold on.
Oh, that's Mummy's present. Hide that.
Anyway, your present.
Your Christmas present is out. Needs wrapping. Then you look in there. Then you look.
Anyway, Tris.
We had a bit of a camping party, didn't we?
Yeah. So we set out a mattress, and I got down one of my pillows and one of my blankets in case it got too cold in the room. Because in the beginning when the fan turned on, I was a bit cold. And then,
It's better than being sweaty hot in the night.
yeah. And then me and Mummy were talking a bit about some cinemas
Yeah.
in the bed, and then you came in, and then we all said night to each other.
Yeah, we had a lovely sleep, didn't we?
Night.
Good night. It looks like this power cut is going to be going on for a very long time if it's still off now.
Still off, yeah. It's been 15 hours nearly.
15 hours. And yet, because of the choices we made, we've got an air fryer right now making cinnamon rolls. We've got 2 air conditioners running. And we can have a hot shower if we want as well.
Which
Yeah.
I already have done.
You had your hot shower?
Yeah, I've had a shower.
And despite running all that stuff, we are currently 62% recharged on the battery at 9:30 in the morning. That's the Philippines sun power.
Okay, cinnamon roll reveal. Ta-da! Looks good. They are definitely not the prettiest of bakes, but they taste really good. And we're going to have ours this morning with a coffee.
It's not the look, it's the taste. Let's see, I think this is sour watermelon.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
you'll...
sour watermelon.
Right, let's do Poppy's. And Poppy has in between the 2 again.
I don't think, hold on. It's got lots of bits in it, this one.
Oh, maybe that is a turkey then.
Pour down. Wiggle.
Oh, sweet dog. Story's going to do some maths this morning with her new maths book, aren't you?
Yes, but it's not just any maths book.
Mhm.
It's graph paper.
Graph paper. We picked this up from the store yesterday. Completely new book. Go on then. We haven't used graph paper before, have we?
Yeah, we have, but the squares, which are these, are way too small for me to write my numbers in, so we got a bigger one.
Okay, let's do this.
Where are we going then? Want to do it out here?
Yeah. It's going to be so tiring to get all of my numbers in only these tiny
You don't have to
spots.
fill up every single square, Story. It's just to help you guide the numbers in a column, that's all. The solar inverter is blowing its cooling fans because it's doing its hard work, but we are still off grid at 10:48 in the morning, so it's been 16 hours since the power cut, and we're still just running the battery and the solar panels. And even with all of our appliances running, we're 89% charged and still charging. And that is the incredible power of solar. And I'm going to do the shout out for today, which goes to Patricia Puntavella. Huge thank you to Patricia for becoming a member of our channel. We hugely appreciate it. If you want to become a member yourself, hit the join button, which is just below the videos. You can see it there. And when you click on it, it takes you to all of the different tiers that there are available. Whether you just want to get the badge next to your name, or whether you want to use the poppy emojis, or even get your name in the credits right at the end of the video when the music plays. It really does help support our channel to help keep creating videos for you guys. And we will see you in the next video. Bye.